Hello, everybody. Green Effect Podcast on the air, Season 3, Episode 31. I don't know when I'm flipping to Season 4, but just one day it'll happen. Anyway, today I'm really excited for this guest. Guest number 2 of the year, so he should feel pretty special, all right? So this is Alfonso I'm going to mess up here. Give it to me. What's your last name, man?
Salemi.
Thank you. I even had it in my notes and I still screwed it up. Man, I got a first name like that. I can go like 4 different directions. Anyway,
Yeah.
Alfonso's with us. He is the co-founder and co-owner of JAGG. And JAGG is a fantastic company that we partner with that does rent-to-own programs. So you're going to hear throughout the show the term RTO. Okay. And in real estate and finance, we are a world of acronyms. So just get used to it. It's an RTO, rent-to-own. All right. So, Alfonso, thank you very much for joining us. It's great to have you on.
Yeah, excited to be on. I can't believe, you're up to over 30 episodes now. I remember you were talking about launching the podcast, getting the Green Effect going, and kudos to you. You've had some awesome guests, some amazing information, and the info that you provide to the industry, to real estate professionals out there, for those that are looking to invest or get to know a little bit more about the market. You're doing a great job. So super happy to be on here with you today.
Thanks, man. Check is in the mail, baby. Awesome. Thank you. So, now we also have to set some context here. You might have to be completely interrupted. You might get a knock on that door behind you because you might just have to stop and run because your wife is expecting any hour, minute, day now, right?
Yeah, any day. We're expecting our second baby any day now. So yeah, we're recording this early September. So her due date's the 12th of September. So yeah, it could be happening at any time now. Really excited. It's our family's growing. We have an almost 2-year-old, so he's 23 months, and with another one on the way. So life is busy. It's hectic. It's fun. It's the best.
Yeah. And your little one, boy or a girl?
Little boy, Giacomo.
Little boy, all right. So, hopefully a girl. We'll see, right? I mean, as long as they're healthy at the end of the day. But, it'd be kind of
That's
cool
right.
to have a girl in there, too. So,
Yeah, yeah.
I'll prepare you. If it's a girl, I'll warn you. We'll have a lunch over and I'll warn you about all the pitfalls and the issues you got to look for. So, it's
Yeah, well,
a
that's
crazy
something that
world.
we share. We can't lose any more hair, right?
No,
On that, but we'll definitely maybe lose some hours of sleep on that.
absolutely. Absolutely. So it'll be exciting then. If she does deliver right now, our last podcast, Brittany had her lunch delivered. This podcast will have a baby delivered. There you go. It'll work
Here we
fantastic.
go.
I'm excited for that.
Just getting some sponsors, lunches, and
Babies.
different doctors. Yeah, all different types of. But the information you deliver is the most important. That the delivery that we got out
That's
there.
it. Pardon the pun. Pardon the pun. All right. So before we get into RTOs and all the exciting stuff around those, Bank of Canada didn't move rates this week. I know my opinions all over social media. What's your
Yeah.
take on it? Stayed pat. Didn't say they were pausing. Just said they weren't doing anything this time. What's your thought?
Yeah, I think a lot of people predicted that. Like, that's where I thought. I thought they were going to maintain and keep the rate where it is. I don't know if it matters, but it's just a nice even 5 number. It makes it, everybody, it's a nice spot to kind of land on for now. But I do think, I think there was some relief. I think it's brought some maybe more confidence back, or now with them holding, everybody saying, "Oh, great, now we're going the other way." There's relief here. We're now the rates are going to start coming down. I don't necessarily think they're going to come down as quick as they've gone up, or go back to where they were ever again. Maybe another world event might cause that, but I think it's a good sign. I think that's a good sign where now, with the lagging indicators of all the increases that they did 3 and 4 and 5, 6 months ago, we're starting to see the effects come through in the economy. It is slowing a little bit down. The job numbers as well, obviously including that. But yeah, I think it's a good sign. I think when things are constantly kind of moving around and shifting, people's confidences are shook, and buyers and sellers, aren't excited to go and make deals, right? Sellers are like, "Oh, I could have got way more last year," and buyers are like, "Oh, I want to pay way less." And nobody's excited to get to the table. It's more of a necessity for sellers that are trying to liquidate, or now with the variable rate, kind of paying maybe double what they were paying, and then the buyers are like, oh, I'm just going to wait till the rates come down, and they're on the sideline. Like, I definitely see a lot more for sale signs going up on lawns. That's definitely something that I've noticed, even just in my own neighborhood and then driving around. But I think it's a good sign. I think, yeah, I think the rates are going to kind of be, kind of treading water around where we are now for a little while. I don't think there's going to be any huge increases or decreases even in the next two or three rate announcements. We got two or three left, I think, for the year.
Yep, two
So
left.
I
Yeah.
think we're going to be kind of hovering around this mark for the next little while. Anyhow, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely seeing more for sale signs. So, as people might know, you live in London. I sleep in, I say sleep in Kitchener-Waterloo because I get all over the place. I think you do too. But months of inventory is definitely spiking up. And listen, I said this earlier. I said, the last few weeks, a lot of the realtors that I work with, I'm sure you do too, their Instagram had nothing to do with real estate. It was vacations. And I think people just said rates are high. Let's get the hell out of here, at least enjoy the rest of the summer. And now I think my gut feel is now with them not moving rates this time, we love hope. I always say that Canadians love hoping that things will do well, and that's kind of what you said as well. Where sentiment, it's customer sentiment, right? They feel better about it. All right, now let's go buy. Now let's go sell. If they think they're going to get a deal, or if they think they're going to sell for more money, right? So
Yeah, and even just talking to the different professionals out there, that's what I keep hearing is that, you know, people want to feel good about making that decision, right? If you
mhm.
are, coming to the country, you're a young professional, you've gotten a new job, you want to move, you want that stability, you want to live somewhere, you want to feel safe, you don't want to feel like, oh, next month it's going to be different, next month's going to be different, and when there is that little bit of stability, people feel more secure in making decisions. No one can predict the future. We can sit here and say, hey, the rates are going to go up, the rates are going to go down. We don't know. I'm not sure if the Bank of Canada quite knows yet. They're just happy to get past this announcement, right? And then, collecting more and more data. There's things that I've been seeing as well, too, on Facebook, Instagram, that now the immigration numbers or the population numbers are inaccurate or they're not counting them right. So, it's the information that we have is based on the knowledge and stats that are out there. And now if we're like, wait, those aren't even correct, or wait, how is inflation being calculated? Wait, the cost of living is not included in the cost of inflation, right? Like those are all those things. So I think what a lot of people are doing is kind of looking internally. There's a lot of macro predictions, but when it boils down to all of us are looking at our own personal businesses, our personal lives, what our expenses look like. I think that's what people need to really focus on, because whether the rates go up or down, if you're at Starbucks six times a week, I don't know, those are things that can affect you. So what are the things that are you doing in your life that the rates are going to go up, the rates are going down, the market's going to do what the market's going to do? How are you positioning yourself for success? I think that's where I kind of take a little bit more calmness, a deep breath, and be like, okay, the rates are going to do what the rates are going to do. Well, how is it affecting our business? How is it affecting my day-to-day life and our clients and investors? And how can we manage and navigate through it? That's a big thought that I have all the time.
Some good advice, man. Good advice. And yeah, I mean, I drive by some Starbucks sometimes. It's lined up to the road, and I'm like, guys, wait a second. I we're going into a recession. What are you guys doing, right? And
Yeah.
you, me, I've
The
cut back
next
on
thing I
that stuff.
predict is the Starbucks credit card. Or right or right buying
Yeah.
on credit. Imagine.
We love credit in Canada, man. It'd be a big business for them, that's for sure. So,
Yeah.
so it kind of brings me to my next point then. So, explain to everybody RTOs, rent to own, because listen, you guys are a big company, okay? You guys handle things on the up and up, always have. And walk me through what a rent to own is and what it isn't. Like why rent to own? Explain to me what this thing is.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, it all depends on, which perspective you're looking at the rent to own from. So we have, three main characters, if you will, in the rent to own space. Is one is our tenant buyers. So those are our clients. Why rent to own, our business even exists, is for those tenant buyers, that there's something that is preventing those people to qualify conventionally at a bank or a mortgage. It's their income, their down payment, their credit, something is preventing them from qualifying for a conventional mortgage. So that's one person, our tenant buyer. We have our real estate professionals like yourself, mortgage brokers, realtors, real estate lawyers, accountants, all the different people that have different functions within the real estate process. And then we have our joint venture partners, our investors, those families, individuals that are, actually purchasing the home, assisting the tenant buyers to actually achieve home ownership. So we kind of put all those three, and JAG is kind of at the center of those three, kind of matchmaking, facilitating, orchestrating these projects. So typical scenario is, someone is new to the country, young professional, self-employed, maybe has some credit issues, and they're coming to you, Stephen, saying, hey, I want to go buy a home, I want to get a mortgage, I talked to my realtor, they said I need to get pre-approved, so that's why I'm here. And you discover that something's preventing them, one of those things that we mentioned: income, down payment, or credit. You say, hey, I can't get you a mortgage today, but if you do this, this, and this in a year, 2 or 3 or 4, you will be able to. So human nature, they're like, I don't want that in 4 years. I want it now, right? Instant gratification. Instant society. That's what most people are trying to achieve these days. So in our program, we'll look at it from a different lens. We'll say, okay, what is the plan for this particular tenant buyer? Is it fixing credit, saving up the down, or making sure that the right amount of income is claimed and for the right amount of time? So we'll provide that tenant buyer or client a budget. So they get to go out and shop and look for the home as if they were qualified at a conventional lender, but they actually get to go and choose the home. So they're working with a realtor to actually go and find the home on the east part of the city, the west part of the city, whatever is preferable to them, where they want to live, close to transit, work, schools, family, all the things that are important to them. So they actually go and choose the home that they want to live in within the budget that we've set, and then enter in
So
our.
they've actually been kind of pre-approved a little bit by you to say, okay, this is
You got
how
it.
much you can spend. And then when you talk about the realtor, is that like a JAG realtor, or do they bring in like the realtor that maybe referred them to you, or the realtor that they want to work with?
Exactly. Yeah. If they've
Got
been
it. Okay.
referred to us by that realtor, then we'll continue to work with that realtor. If they don't, then yeah, we have a great network of realtors across the province that we can refer them to. If they have, a friend, a family member, somebody that they want to work with, that they prefer to work with, then we'll continue to work with that realtor. So,
Good.
yeah, so they go on the shopping spree. They get to
Mhm.
go and look for the type of home that they want. The realtors showing them homes, walking through homes, open houses, all the different types of things, and then enters in our joint venture partner, where once the home is actually selected, that hey, it's 123 Main Street because it's a bungalow, has a big backyard, it's within the budget. That's the home that the tenant buyer wants to rent to own. And then our joint venture partner actually purchases it, goes through conventional financing, qualifies, at the bank or lender to buy the home, and then now we facilitate the rent to own program, with monthly payments, making sure that the savings is there so that there's a down payment at the end, credit is being improved, the income is being claimed properly, right? It's for the self-employed individuals that are maybe creative with their income, that making sure that we're claiming the right amount, or
They
if
have they
it's
have a
just.
great accountant, a fantastic accountant, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
a great accountant, and so that's what we see sometimes as well, is that hey, I don't want to pay all these taxes. Well, that's the rules of the game within Canada. That if you're not claiming that income, then you're not actually getting the benefit of that or the qualification for that. And the other thing that we see with income is a lot of newcomers coming to the country that are immigrating here and have great jobs, but just don't have that track record, right? That don't have that long enough established work history, and as well, the same goes for credit history as well, right? So they have the income, maybe they have a good down payment, but they don't have that track record of income set up. So it's all those different types of scenarios. So once the home's selected, the joint venture partner actually goes on title, purchases the home. We close, buy the house in a normal fashion as any other transaction. And then throughout the term, typically around 3 years, JAG is assisting our tenant buyers to improve credit, save up the down payment, claim the income properly, and then they buy the home back at the end of the term at a predetermined price. So they know in 3 years they're going to be buying 123 Main Street at X price, and that's where they need to get their credit, income, down payment in order to qualify conventionally at the end of the term.
So I think that's a key thing what you just said. Okay, and I think That's where we have seen RTOs go horribly wrong in the past. Not with you guys, but with private folks. I did talk with a client I think a couple of months ago, and they had gone through an RTO through a private individual, and that's the one thing that didn't happen. Where the monitoring, hey, you came to us because your credit wasn't good. Are
Yeah.
you improving it? Have you worked with your mortgage broker? Have you called Equifax to get a collections item cleared up? That is the key, right? And that's why I like with an RTO that's being handled by some like by your company, right? It is there is a structure. There's accountability because you also have accountability to your investor. Your
Yeah.
investors are not long-term buy and holds. They are, correct me if I'm wrong, they are more hands off. They're like, here, deal with this. Alfonso, you deal with it, right?
Yeah.
But we want our money after a certain time, right? They're not long-term folks. So this is a really key point that you're going to give them the support so they actually can buy the house, right?
Absolutely. That's our role and responsibility is facilitating the success of the project, right? For the tenant buyer standpoint, to making sure that they're maintaining the property and following those guidelines, but also, yeah, improving their credit, making sure that they're saving the down payment, coaching them really through that process so that they can be successful. If they had the discipline, knowledge, contacts to do it themselves, I encourage them. Go for it. Do it yourself if you're able to do that. I always give the example of the basement gym, the dumbbells and the weight bench in the basement versus having a personal trainer. If you're the type of person that has the discipline to go down the basement, hey, half hour, an hour every morning, go down there, do my shake, go out and work out. Or if you're the type of person that says, hey, you know what, I need a personal trainer because that's going to keep me accountable. I'm going to show up. They're going to show me the proper technique. That's what we are, is that personal trainer for their finances so that they can get on that and they can ask those questions of like, hey, you know what? I need a new vehicle. Or I was just at a retail store and they offered me this credit card. What should I do? Or I need to buy something. How should I do it? And managing through their own personal situation. You can
Yeah.
Google things, you can go online, you can figure, hey, how does credit work from a general standpoint? But the individual attention that we're giving to each tenant buyer for their own personal situation, that's what kind of is that differentiator between, I think, the proper way to do a rent to own and then letting people kind of up to their own demise. Because if they could have done
Yeah.
it on their own, they would have done it already.
I think as you say all that, I think this is what I see from people, and I try to explain to folks that listen, if you need an RTO, you maybe need to do an alternative lender or whatever. Life happens, man. It is what it is. I think when we're talking about credit, managing your finances, I've said this before, they don't teach this in school. Like kids legit come out of school, they don't know what the hell they're doing, right? I look at my kids, clueless. It's just not taught, right? So I think if people need that help. Okay. The stuff you're talking about, clients don't have a clue. They really don't. It's not their fault. People think that they're uneducated, they're ignorant about it. No, you don't. People don't learn this stuff, right? So I think, listen, if we can get, and we're going to talk about it in a moment, really the three main clients that would this would really help. If you need the help, take it. Life happens, man. It is what it is, right? And I think we got to get over a little bit more of that kind of shame around it because listen, if we were all educated about it and you all knew and then you screwed it up, hey, that's one thing, but people don't know. They legit don't know sometimes that yes, you got to pay your dentist. The dentist can put a collections on your credit bureau, right? Regardless, it's just, I just find there's more education we do because these folks they need it. There's nothing, it is what it is. Life happens. So,
And it is so different for everyone, right? Because when like I bring it back to like the health or the fitness is what is a good diet for me might be different than what's a good diet for you. You might have different allergy sensitivities. I might have different allergy sensitivities. So you say, oh, in general, hey, almonds are healthy. Well, guess what? I'm allergic to almonds. So if I eat too many, I'm gonna have like I'm gonna get like an anaphylactic shock, right? But someone else is saying, hey, almonds is a great alternative. It's a great snack. It's not a one size fits all. Yes, there's general principles, there's general guidelines, things that we can follow, but it's down to the person. And to your point, the shame around it, I think a lot of people are shy or embarrassed to talk about that, say, I don't know how credit works. And it's that pride thing of like, yeah, I get it. I know it. I got money in the bank. I know how to work it, or I got a job. But it's actually being bring that vulnerability to the table and saying, it's not just you. We've had, we're close now to 300 clients that we've been able to help out through the rent to own program. And they're all a little bit different, right? They're all a little bit, you know, whether it's their income, their down payment, their credit, their life situation, right? Something happened to them. And they're open to share with us because we're helping them. If there's somebody in their corner, and unfortunately, the way the banks are set up, if you don't meet their criteria, fit in their box, they're like, next, on to the next one, come back when you do. There's no, well, here, let us help you get to that point. They're too busy. They're too busy helping the people, turning over the business to what's immediate. And that, again, kind of is in line with the real estate agents that we talk with, right? Is that, again, and with mortgage brokers, we're on commission based, right? That you get paid by helping and closing a deal. If you're not able to close that deal now, well, your attention is going to where the deal can close. And these clients that are not able to are getting forgotten, are getting ignored, and not getting the assistance that they need. And this is kind of that intermediary, that bridge where, hey, we can help. We can close a deal. We can help somebody own their home and actually educate themselves and put themselves in a better position moving forward.
I think our jobs, real estate agents, okay, and listen, I've said this before. I think we're going to see some mortgage brokers, some real estate agents kind of fall off a little bit because it is what it is. There's just less
Yeah.
originations, okay.
Yeah.
But I think people like myself, people like you, and I think realtors who are truly in it for the right reasons and be able to provide advice. Because when you say the banks don't have time, you're right, man, dude. Like they're a financial institution. They give you money based on an application. It is what it is. Okay. But I think people like yourself, like myself, a fantastic realtor who really takes the time to educate a little bit. Okay, we're not talking complete education program to buy a house, but in the same breath, giving the right advice, giving um, the right information to them. I think that's really what the future of our industry has to be, because I think the last couple of years as well, we've had, again, I've said this before, it's the HGTV generation. We can all make it rich in real estate. As long as we got a horseshoe and a lucky rabbit's foot, boom, we are millionaires, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess
Yeah.
what? That's now that's done now. You got to actually be smart with what you're doing, and part of that comes with having the team around you and the advice and et cetera, et cetera. So I get what you're saying, man, 100%. So with the folks that come to you, okay, and you and have had this conversation. I think we're on the same page. So there's really, I mean, there's a bunch of people that work for it, but I think the three main groups that this is going to truly help, okay, is our self-employed folks who have the genius accountant, but even we maybe can't find a good alternative option for them, okay? Because there is a lot of self-employed alternative programs, but maybe they don't have, the 20% down or the lender's fee and all that stuff. So our
Yeah.
self-employed that need some coaching, um, our damaged credit folks, okay, who
Yeah.
just need some help with that, and then finally the folks that have a need, and use that word, I need to buy something now. I only have 3%. I make fantastic money, okay? And there's just not a really good option. There is a need. Am I accurate with how I've described those three kind of groups of folks?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The self-employed with the creative accountants writing all that up, that's fantastic on the taxes. Great. Kudos to you. However, if you're currently renting and not building equity in the home, it is at a detriment to you, right? That
Yeah.
you're not having equity and you don't have that control. That landlord, that owner of that property at any point could say, hey, we're selling, we're raising the rent, we're changing something. And it's that lack of control. For the credit is a snowflake. You could line up 10 people that have the exact same credit score, but it's for all different reasons on how it can be improved. So
Yeah.
for, you hit it right on the head. We don't get taught this in school. There's not enough people out there that are educating. It's just general information versus specific personal information, and understanding the credit, getting those things in order, and understanding life circumstances happen, deaths, illnesses, divorces, things that cause, you mentioned a dentist, that sometimes things aren't covered. And then there's a big dentist bill, and it causes, a big debt that is tough to pay off while you're paying rent and have other expenses. And that need we see constantly. Like, again, I'm fortunate my family's growing. If I was in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment renting, I would have to move because I need more room for another child, right? Multi-generational families that are moving in together or moving out from each other, right? So those are the things that the need of, hey, I'm moving to a new city, a new part of the country, a new part of the province for a job opportunity, that they don't want to be commuting, they want to be closer to where they're working. So the key element of all those, whatever credit, income, down payment issues, it's someone that is the willingness and the desire to be a homeowner, that wants to cut the grass, change the furnace filter, shovel the snow, do those types of things. And home ownership, it's great. And it's like, oh, you have that, like, the floaty home ownership, but it's tough, right? You need to maintain your home. There's expenses, there's costs, there's things that come up in home ownership. And that person that is willing to do that, that wants to do that, those are the best fit for our program, and that wants to give themselves, their family, a better trajectory in the future, so that they have that ownership. So that in 10, 20, 30 years from now, they're going to say, thank goodness I bought that home, because now look, it's almost all paid off, or I have equity to use for something else, for investment, etc. And it's that willingness. But yeah, we have all different types of ages, ethnicities, avatars that we work with. But it's, that need, and it's something that's preventing them, that they can't get it today. But with some work, guidance, and effort, they can get into that positive position.
What I like about your program, and again, I think what's happened in the past is investors would buy a home. So they would buy the home up front, and then we're going to use this as an RTO, right? And
Yeah.
so people come around, and maybe it wasn't the right fit, but they're like, hey, this looks nice, I'll buy it, and we'll get into this whole RTO thing, whatever, right? What I like about yours is, and let's face it, when someone finds a home they like, when they're actually looking for the home, they get that experience, right? From the
Yeah.
standpoint that there's an actual emotional attachment to the house they're buying. So they're going to want to more make this work because, to your point, it's something that they're going to be staying in for a while, right? So I like that they can go and look for something that they want, not something that's been, hey, here's a catalog of homes, which one would you like, right? Like, it's like, no,
Yeah.
go find the house you want, and that's your thing. Because I know within these programs, they're going to be, as opposed to having a tenant that maybe doesn't have the same pride of ownership, we'll say, well, these folks are going to be buying the house. So if you want to build a whatever, go build a whatever, because it's going to be your house in a few years, right? And that's what I kind of like. There's that emotional, this is my house, man. Right now, I'm renting from a guy, but you know what? It's in a couple of years, my house, and I'm working. I'm working to make sure that this is going to happen. So I like that. I like that there's that attachment to it. I think it
Yeah.
means something for sure for them.
Going back, it was probably 2015 or 2016. It was one of our, in our early days, and one of the tenant buyers in our program. And I've been coin, copying this phrase, or this saying that he said, it's a home ownership in training program, where it's a true partnership with the people that are in the program, with our investors and joint venture partners, the realtors, mortgage brokers, the real estate professionals that we work with. Is that if you're going buying a home, probably the biggest purchase, not one of the probably the biggest purchase you'll make in your life, you should
Yep.
get to pick where you want to live, and that's really important to us. And it sounds, cheesy or cliche, but it's putting people first. And we look at them, and what rent to own is the opportunity to get into home ownership. What it's not is, I should be able to qualify for an $800,000 mortgage, and the bank only says 5, but I want to get into the 800. That's where the failures, the negative connotations come from. It is when it's setting somebody up for success. Now we're
Yeah.
both sitting at our desk, but I'm vertically challenged. I'm Italian tall. I'm only about 5'9". But if I put it out there to the world today, I want to be in the NBA. I'm sure some coach somewhere in the world would say, "Yeah, I can get you the NBA. It's going to cost you $50,000, and I need it all up front." Right? And okay, great. Versus, and they would never, I would never get to the NBA. That's just a dream that it's long gone now. I know that. Okay.
Yeah.
However, if the coach that called me up and said, "Hey, I'll work with you, and you know what, we'll go there, but I'm going to get you ready, and you can play, Sunday night church league, and you're not going to be able to hurt anybody." And everything's going to be okay. That's the more realistic approach to that we want to take. Is that
Yeah.
home ownership? It's not a given, right? It's something that you need to put in the work, you need to put in the effort, the things that come along with it, and the training around it to get to that point. And that's where the individual investors, like you said, having a catalog or an inventory of homes, that's somebody that their plan A and maybe plan B didn't go according to plan. Because now they're underwater on their
Correct.
mortgage, their costs, their
Yeah.
expenses, those types of things. So now they're saying, "Hey, let's do a rent to own and charge somebody a premium or an upfront deposit so they come in so that we can get some of our capital back or our investment back, but not actually having the best intention for the client in mind. They have
Yes.
their best intention
And that's
to,
what happened. That's what happened before. That's where the bum rap came from back in the early 2010s with guys doing this. That's exactly what I had a friend 10 years ago that happened to. And I'm like,
yeah,
that, yeah, you can't, it's not good, right? Sorry, I interrupted you there, but that's exactly kind of an example of what was happening back then. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's
And that's
important.
where, yeah, the client first approach, where if our tenant buyer wins by being able to own their home, our realtor mortgage broker wins because they're getting another deal, another transaction. Our joint venture partner wins because they're getting a good return on their investment, is safe, stable, and they're actually helping a family, making an impact in their lives. If all those parties win, then we win, right? So that's how we
Yeah.
have to set it up, is for all those to be successful. Because yeah, have we had a few that have not gone according to plan? Of course, but it's usually life circumstance that gets in the way. We want to work with our clients. We've extended programs from 3 years to 4 years because, hey, you know what, the credit wasn't right where it was, but the income, the down payment, they were maintaining the property, they were good people, they were responsive. So we want to afford that opportunity to these people, to give them that chance, right? That to extend that program or to get into that situation. We're not looking to, hey, we just want to profit and hurt people along the way. We want to help people and get into home ownership as well.
All right, let's talk numbers. So on what you just said, perfect segue into numbers because I think you had used the one example. Hey, listen, if you can afford 500, we're not going to put you in an $800,000 home and that sort of thing. So,
Yep.
having said that, there's some realistic numbers that we need to look at before a client is even accepted into an RTO. So, I
Yes.
know, and I'll come up with the high level stuff, and you dig deeper. So, just to get into the program, okay, we're talking about you got to have at least 2 to 3%. Like we need some skin in the game
Yep.
here. This is not a zero down payment program. There are
That's right.
minimum income requirements because you do want them to buy the house in a few years and you're really going to vet them that way. So, it's again, it's not a zero down. It's not a we give a house to everybody. You got to have some skin in the game because this is still your house. This is still something that you need to buy. The investor doesn't want the house in a 2 or 3 years or whatever it is, right? So there's some starting points there. And then I also want you just to talk about the payment. How does that work? So, if you've got your investor, right? So the investor is going to want rent basically because they are technically a tenant. But then you did say something earlier around the savings, the rent credit. So,
Yes.
if you don't mind, explain the first part about the getting in, and then
Yeah.
explain how the actual monthly or whatever it is, the monthly payment is structured and how that works.
Yes. Yeah. So you touched on it. The minimum requirements currently for our program is a minimum of 3% of the approved purchase price. So if you are approved for that $500,000 purchase, you're looking at about $15,000 that you would need to have today. to enter into the program. Typically, most banks and lenders want 5%, 10%, or 20%, depending on your situation. So ours is 3%. And our minimum income is a combined income, family income of $100,000. Now, our criteria, I don't want to sit here and sound like we came up with it. We are using the bank's criteria. We're just saying we're a little bit lower than the bank so that over the next 3 years, you are going to get to that bank criteria. So that income and deposit is what banks are going to look at in 3 years from now. We need to maintain it, increase it, so that it will fit. Obviously, the total debt service and making sure that, if there's our bill payments or debts that need to be paid down as well, that's going to help increase credit score. So those are the minimum criteria to enter in the program. The monthly payments, those are, very similar to as if you were a homeowner. You have your mortgage made up of the principal and interest. There's taxes. We live in Canada. We have to pay property taxes. There's insurance. If you have a mortgage on a property, you're required to get insurance or you don't get a mortgage. So those three that you come up, and I came up with the acronym of PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So, and it's a pity,
Yep.
PITI. It's a pity you have to pay it, right? But those criteria, and then that monthly rent credit is different and unique for each one of our tenant buyers. Because if it's a client that has the down payment, has the full down payment, maybe 5, 7, 10% or more, but their income isn't where it needs to be, or their credit isn't where it needs to be, their monthly rent credit will be, very low or zero because they've already have the down payment saved up. So if it's someone that maybe says, hey, I have great credit, I have awesome income, but I only have the minimum of 3%, well, how much do we need to save up over the course of the program? So if it's, let's just use an easy number here, say I need to save up $36,000 over the next 3 years, then their monthly rent credit would be equal to $1,000 a month on top of the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, so that they can have that $36,000 saved up by the end of the program, so use for their down payment deposit when they're qualifying at the bank.
All right, so you guys really do some planning here. Like, it's not a one size fits all, like you said. It's you've got to take every scenario. And I know, like, for example, I did send one client over to you, and I said, hey, don't quite meet what you're looking for, but what about potential and that sort of thing. And then you guys will decide on the risk. Like, what is the risk? Where are they? What's the industry? What can we do? Where is the money? So I like that, right? It's not, again, it's not a cookie cutter. You fit, combo number one. It's we'll try to make this work, and I like that from you guys. So
yeah, and back to that example, a lot of people think, well, hey, I went to the bank and they qualified me for $500,000. Now I'm going to go do a rent to own for $800,000. There is a reason why the bank is qualifying you at that amount. It's because of income, it's because of down payment, it's because of credit, the debt service ratio, those types of things. It's not a program to get more or to circumvent the banking system. What we're trying to do is to train and assist to get back into the conventional financing route so that you can get better rates, get better terms, and qualify for that mortgage. It's not like it's not a magic potion or like a silver bullet. It is taking that time to get to that point so that you can qualify.
yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. And I also like to, just from where the savings are coming from, like, sorry, the rent credits. I like that it's held with a company as opposed to a guy. And I don't want to say like individuals doing RTOs are not good people at all, but that's where some of the bum rap came from in the past, where you got these huge upfront deposits that are being held, you got the rent credits being held, it's held with a guy, right? Again, might be on the up and up, all good, but I like how it's managed by a company. You know what I mean? It's managed with someone who's got a logo and a storefront and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that I prefer for my clients. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even beyond that, like the agreements and contracts that we sign with our tenant buyers, with our joint venture partners, there's obviously the Ontario Standard Lease Agreement. There's the purchase option contract.
Yeah.
That is what is saving, or is securing that tenant buyer's purchase, that even the pre agreed upon purchase price at the end. It's not like, yeah, we'll talk to you in 3 years. We'll see if the property's worth. Oh, it went up. Hey, we're going to sell it to you for way more. You don't qualify.
Yeah.
We're not going to sell it to you anymore. We're going to go sell it to somebody else. No, it's like a golden ticket for that tenant buyer to say, hey, I have this future purchase price. I know that I paid a certain amount each month that's going to go towards my deposit, my down payment in the future. It's securing them. It's not just a back of the napkin, hey, let me know when you can buy it. And in the 60s and 70s, rent to own has been around for a long time. That's how a lot of people did it. Even banks did deals on handshakes back in the day, right? But that's how, originally it started was, hey, you know what? You're a fellow I don't know, you're a part of my community. I can buy a home. Here, let me buy the home for you. You get your stuff in order, and then I'll sell it back to you. And then it was agreed upon. And then, obviously, just the way the world's changed, that, very litigious and people that do take advantage of people, it needs to be documented and organized. And that's where we have the strength in our agreements of, yes, a portion, this amount of your payment each month will be applied and credited to you at the end of the program. This is the purchase price that you will buy, and it's clear, black and white. We give our tenant buyers the time to review it, bring it to their attorneys, that they can take a look at it to understand what's involved and make the best decision for them. We want to protect them. We want to protect our joint venture partners, our professional partners. We all have to win, because if we wanted to do one or two, yeah, we could do it that way. But our goal is to help
Yeah.
more and more and more families achieve home ownership. So that we have to do it the ethical way. It's, in my opinion, the only way to do.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And you're right. Things are so litigious right now. Like it's, you gotta, we always use the term CYA, baby. CYA, cover your ass,
That's
and
right. Yep.
I don't think there's a lot of people that are ill intended to do bad stuff. There's definitely a few, but sometimes it's not intentional, but you still got to cover your ass. You know what I mean? Like it's super important that way. So, all right, no, so thank you for explaining all this, because like I said, I think there's so much stuff around this, and understanding that, as a mortgage agent myself, just trying to identify different options, right? Client comes to me and listen, if they're not two fantastic salaried individuals making 200,000 with 20% down, and their closing costs has been in their account for 90 days, and their credit score is 900, well, guess what? We got to find a different box, right? Like it's just,
Yeah.
so having another option is important, because like I said, life happens, man, whatever, right? Like we'll figure it out, like I said, it's only money, like it's just money, right? It's just money. Don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. So
I love this
having that
saying. I
there.
don't know where it was from, but it's all figure outable, right? It's all figure outable, but
Yeah.
it's sticking to that plan. Again, I use the analogy, right? If I wanted to go and climb Mount Everest next week, I could go there. I could take a flight. I could get there, but I wouldn't make it up there, and I might kill myself doing it. However, if I took the next
Yeah.
year, 2 or 3 to properly plan, train, get myself in the proper shape, condition, preparation for that, then I could achieve that goal. It's not just done like this, like just by a snap of the fingers. And many of us do. I know we all want the instant gratification, instant success. That's what,
Yeah.
life just is so quick. We see everybody's highlight reels on, the social medias, but it is the behind the scenes that nobody sees that actually gets to those, peak of the iceberg, successes of putting in that hard work and determination. And that's sometimes hard for people to hear, is that, hey, you need to save up over 2 or 3 years. Well, I can't own my home today. Well, no, there's not. We have to figure out a way that it can be. And 2 to 3 years of, let's say, a time frame where you can maybe sacrifice, maybe pay a little bit more on a monthly basis for a lifetime or a long term of home ownership, equity, stability for your family. Well worth it. Well worth it, in my opinion. And it
And
has
it's
to be
so
that.
hard, and it's so hard to do that now. Like
Yeah.
it was easy to do that pre spring 2022, but with rates where they were, nobody did it, right? And yeah, we saved, like there was savings there for sure,
Yeah.
but this is the thing, it's not. I presented to, we had our monthly economic update yesterday that I presented to a bunch of realtors on this, and Listen, we got a lot of debt, man. Like we are the most indebted nation in the freaking world. Like not even close. Like number two is the U.S. and we're not even in the same stratosphere. So it is difficult and it is not easy. And we need coaching. Like people don't get it. They don't know how to do this. Honestly, there's not a clue, right? So it's again, it's good. We got to be educators, man. We got to make sure people know what the hell's going on. So on that note, and so listen, again, you sleep in London, I sleep in Kitchener Waterloo. We are in the fishbowl known as Southwestern Ontario.
Yeah.
What do you see just in general? What do you think is going to happen in our economy, housing market? That's a huge question, but I don't know, man. Give me your 2 cents on that.
Yeah. Maybe this is my positive outlook on the human race, that we are a resilient race, a resilient group of people. Um, and yeah, there are good times, there are bad times. It's cyclical. I think people are going to be forced to be more creative. Programs like ours are, even currently as we speak, when we've been doing this close to 9 years now. And at first, people, why do I need this? I'm going to find a B lender. I'm going to find that. So people are going to find different alternatives, ways to be creative. Multi generations living in the same home together.
Yep,
Um,
lots.
I think the people that are like, oh, the government, I have very little faith in the government, any government for that matter, creating a solution that's going to work for everyone, because
Yeah,
their job is to get reelected every 4 years and that's it. Right. So for them to put out a solution that's going to work, it's going to work for some, it's not going to work for others. That can be said for a lot of different things. But I think people are still going to need somewhere to live. This is not like bell bottom pants or fidget spinners or things like that. It's not a trendy item that, hey, housing and living somewhere and a roof overhead, it's not going to be important in 10 years from now. People are going to find ways to be creative. There's multiple different ways to generate revenue, online businesses, hashtag everybody should have a side hustle type of thing.
right.
That's
Yeah,
becoming more prevalent, right? Like online sales, things like that, is to persevere through it. And there's good times, there's bad times. I think we are going to get into a little bit of a tough time right now, where it's not going to be all milk and honey, and everybody's going to be spending at will, where budgets are going to have to be relooked at, and necessity over wants are going to be have to lined out. In southwestern Ontario, even if we had, even if all that green belt land was unlocked, right? And we could go and build it all. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to
yep,
take time. The houses to build, the material, the red tape, where the immigration, the people coming over here in droves as well too. I don't think, because as Canadians, like, I'm trying to do my part. I'm now going to have two children. Now that's the above the average of 1.3. I don't know how
yeah,
you have 1.3 children, but I don't know. Um, but people aren't having families of 4, 5, 6 kids. It's too expensive.
yeah,
So we do need to keep the immigration coming. It's a fairly safe place to live, right? For the most part, for now. Well, if it
yeah.
continues this way, it may be a different story. That's another podcast. We'll talk about that. But
Absolutely.
um, but I do think that, again, we are resilient. People are going to need somewhere to live. There is that. I think, yeah. Back to that short term, whether it's sacrifice or short term, work that you need to put in so that you can have that longer term success. I think people are going to have to now start realizing that is the way to do it. And it just can't be done because my neighbor owns his house, I should too. Well, let's look at deeper of why they're able to do that, what position that they put themselves in, and looking out for your own best interest in terms of what's my own situation. The world is going to turn no matter what, and the economy is going to do what the economy does. How do we prepare ourselves and put ourselves in the best position and guide the different people through their own solutions? And someone like yourself that's providing information, providing knowledge, experience, solutions for people on a customized basis. There is no one size fits all, because everyone is so different. Everyone's situation at any moment can change, and having that tailored approach, I think, is going to be that. So I don't know if that's the
Yeah.
answer you're looking for. I don't know. I don't think we're going to see 20-30% increases in homes. I don't think
Yeah.
we're going to see 20-30% decreases in homes. I think it's going to just kind of level out. And if you pull
Yeah.
back from even the early 1900s, real estate prices, definitely residential, it goes up and down, but typically in an upward motion. So in 10, 20 years from now, homes are going to cost more. Maybe wages are going to be costing more. Our Starbucks coffees are going to cost more. So it's just continuing to grow
Can
and,
you
and
imagine
revolve
that? Oh
around
my
that.
God.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. 12
Yeah, I
bucks,
think, you know what, I
imagine.
think that's good grief, man. We're probably not that far away right now. If milk keeps getting more expensive, we'll see. But yeah,
Yeah,
I think real estate, we're coming off that time now where real estate was, someone put it really well. It's like trade. It used to be like trading cards, right? Got them, need them, trade them, whatever. Now,
yeah,
no, it is always has been a long term play. Like you just can't drop it and buy new and that sort of thing. So
that's right. Yeah.
yeah, we'll see how it all goes. But yeah, you're super uber positive. I love it. I love someone who's positive. I'm at the age right now where it's just like cursing and swearing makes me feel better. So anyway,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I got to be
oh
positive. In
well.
10, 20, 30 years, when my kids are
Yeah.
looking at home ownership, I'd like to think that we're leaving the world a better place. I think most parents are, because why
Yeah.
would, yeah, well, you have to be. You have to hope for a better day moving forward. And all we can do is contribute our knowledge, our experience, and leave the world in a better place. There are going to be the people out there that, take advantage of people. Doesn't matter what industry, right? Real estate or otherwise. But we got to arm ourselves with the most education, most knowledge that we can, and make the decisions that we have with that info. Things are going to change tomorrow,
Yeah.
next week, the next rate announcement, next year. But it's getting yourself in the best position and the right people, and what you do, and putting the message out there for the world to listen to, and just at least even think about it and provoke thought. Provoke thought is, I think, more and more important out there. So yeah, thank you for doing what you do, Steve.
Thanks, man. No, I appreciate that. So one last question. What is your prediction for the next Bank of Canada rate announcement? And this is recorded. It is on video. It will be out there for the world to see. So don't screw this up. What's your prediction?
You know what? I'm gonna say they're gonna hold again. I'm gonna be, and this is not
Yeah.
knowing all the inflation. I think they're gonna hold again. I think, the talking tough of leaving it open that we might, increase it. It's just enough to scare. Again, my son's too young, but I remember being a kid
Yeah.
where if I was doing something bad or climbing up on something that I wasn't supposed to, my parents would be like, I'm counting to three. One, two, two and a
Good.
half,
Good
two and
analogy. I
three
like
quarters,
that.
right? So I'm just like,
Yeah.
hey, we're not out of the woods yet, but it could get worse. But we're gonna leave it the same. So don't go crazy and go and buy and spend and jump up
Yeah.
your credit cards. Let's rein it in a little bit. So I'm gonna predict that it's gonna be another hold again. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Hey, I'm gonna take your prediction and keep my fingers crossed. So I'm
Right.
good with that. I'm good with that. So, Alfonso, thank you so much for joining me. I know it's a really busy time for you right now, looking for, something from your wife to have a baby. So thank you so much for coming on. Hey, wishing you guys all the best. Hope everything goes well with the baby, and he or she. Do you know a boy or girl?
Yes, we're having a little girl. Little
Oh,
girl.
you
It's a little
do
girl.
know.
So,
Oh,
yes,
awesome.
yes,
All
little
right.
girl. So,
We will have a
yeah.
future podcast where we talk about what the hell we're doing with these daughters. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
congratulations. That's
that
awesome.
I'm gonna need some advice on. That's for sure.
That's right. That's right. All right, man. Well, listen, thank you again. Thank you so much. It was awesome having you. And so really
Pleasure.
how people reach out if they're interested in something like this, they all come to me first is the correct answer, and then we will
Correct.
triage them into you. So perfect. Awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Get in touch with
All right.
Stephen. If he can't help you, we got his back. We're gonna help him, and we'll get you there. So thank you for your
Awesome.
time, and thank you for the opportunity today, Stephen. Much appreciated.
My pleasure, man. Great having you, bud. All right. Folks, as you know how we always end our podcast, thank you very much for listening. Remember, you got to like us, love us, follow us, desire us, want us, whatever. There's only a 5-star option. I don't know if you guys know that. You can't give 4, 3, or 2 with this podcast. Anyway, keep fit, have fun, and we'll see you for the next episode. Goodbye.